On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer. But in my heart, I am a gamer.
This is one of the most famous quotes in the video game industry. Satoru Iwata's talk on GDC became so popular because of this quote, but what was the presentation all about? I've watched that talk before and it was interesting. Iwata is telling about how everything started for him.
My first creation was a baseball game. I don't think anyone can say it has bad graphics because it has no graphics. When I saw my friends playing that game and having fun, it made me feel proud. To me, this was a source of energy and passion.
There was some presentational stuff to showcase what they are currently developing at Nintendo. So I recently watched that presentation again and I realized something. There is a secret recipe for indie game success in there. Nintendo back then was acting more like an indie company and not as one of the big three. They were more into turning non-gamers into gamers and doing all kinds of different games.
Are we creating games just for each other? Do you have friends and family members who do not play video games? Well, why don't they? And I would ask this. How often have you challenged yourself to create a game that you might not play? I think these questions form an important challenge for all of us.
That was Iwata's goal. He just wanted everyone to have fun and experience the magic of video games. Because of that, Nintendo back then was more focused on appealing to all people, regardless of their gender or age. They were developing all kinds of different games for their systems and were experimenting a lot. Some of their stuff was not even games, but just interactive experiences. Just look at this.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Nintendo.
You cannot call that shit a game, but you can definitely have some fun time playing with it. So that's the reason why the tips and ideas in this talk are so helpful for indie game developers nowadays. Only indie studios can produce creative and new kinds of fun experiences without worrying much about the risk and whether the product will become successful or not. This is Game Designer's Notebook, a video channel exploring game design topics and helping you with making better games. And without further ado, let's explore that secret recipe.
The reason I believe is that it meets the standards we set for all software we develop. We call these standards the 4 I's.
Iwata called these the 4 I's. They are the things that will help you make your next great game. The first ingredient for a successful game is innovation.
First, is it truly innovative? Something different from what has come before?
Have you thought about what is really the new and exciting thing about your game? Maybe you are one of those people saying that nothing new can be invented and everything has already been done. Well, nothing fundamentally new can indeed be invented, but you can create so many new things just by combining or altering different old ideas and making new and fresh ones. If you have a problem with coming up with interesting ideas, just try this. List out some games. It can be your favorite games or just some random games. Then start asking yourself questions about them. Ask yourself, okay, what would happen if I mix this game with that game? Wait, to mix a roguelike with a rhythm game? How is that even possible? Well, just look at this game called Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's basically just that. By exploring a lot of different indies, you can get so much inspiration. Another question can be, what if I take this game and remove this? But hey, how can I make a 2D side-scrolling platformer game without the long levels and obstacles along the way? How can there be a game without levels and just bosses? Well, we have Cuphead, a game that mainly consists of boss battles and barely has anything that is a pure 2D platformer. Ask all kinds of questions like this. Try to add, remove, replace, or mix ideas, mechanics, and concepts, and just see what will happen. The next ingredient is intuitive.
Is it intuitive? Does control of the game and the direction of gameplay seem natural?
If you want more people to play your game, you need to make sure that they all can easily understand it and play it. See, these two games as an example, yes, they seem so different, but there is something they have in common. They both want you to run with a character in a more interesting and complicated way than just pushing an analog stick. But the first game is one of the most frustrating games I've seen because running is just so unintuitive. It actually doesn't even make any sense to be in that way. You are running by clicking Q, W, O and P buttons that represents different parts of the body, but the mechanic is actually more of an enemy to you. Compare that with the intuitive running in Ring Fit Adventure. I mean, you just run in real life, or at least you're pretending to be, but still that is so much intuitive because everyone can easily get it. If you find it challenging to make your games more simple and intuitive, just think of a way you would describe your game to your non-gamer friend or your parents. If they cannot get what this thing is all about, you need to return to the brainstorming stage. And remember, simple and intuitive doesn't mean bland and boring. Your game can be complex but still intuitive. Think of chess as an example. The game is super complex, but still the rules are not that hard or unintuitive, and basically everyone can learn how to play it. Just make your game easy to learn and hard to master, and you should be good to go. Next up we have ingredient number 3, inviting.
Third, is it inviting? Do you want to spend time in this world?
Well, especially if you want to turn non-gamers into gamers, this is one of the most important steps. Be inviting, to have something that intrigues the player, to make an environment where your player would want to spend time. Of course, there is not a simple solution for this. It depends on which kind of audience you are targeting. To make the game inviting for the right audience, you can use color schemes, tones, sounds, music, and many other elements to evoke the right feeling in the player and make them want to spend their time in your world. For example, Animal Crossing is super appealing to people who want to chill from time to time and just spend some time being on their own island. That's not only inviting, that's the dream for many. With its warm and vivid colors, chill music, sound effects, and overall look of a relaxing game, the game is inviting to many gamers, casual and hardcore. But Resident Evil is inviting too. Wait. How a scary horror game full of gore and aggression can be inviting? Well, that's again a dream for many, despite it sounds super weird. But many find games like that to be very enjoyable because of the rush of their adrenaline, and everything in the game makes you feel like you are there, and that's why you want to spend so much time there. Cold and dull colors, scary and gory sound effects, and tense or scary music makes you feel the thrill in the game. So different gamers want different things. You cannot make every gamer out there play your game, and that's completely fine. And the final ingredient is interface.
And finally, how does it measure up in terms of interface? Can the player connect in new ways?
By interface, I'm having in mind the capabilities of the technology you're using, especially those that are used for user input and output. So, to make your game awesome, you really need to take in mind these capabilities. Always make sure that you're using them and always strive to find new ways of using these capabilities. Always have in mind all the available technology and play around with it to find new kinds of play. And the perfect example of this is the game Astro's Playroom. Wait, isn't that the demo game that came with a PlayStation 5, you may ask? Well, yes, It's a free demo game showcasing the PS5's controller features, and man, this game is just a perfect example of this. The game makes sure that it uses all the features of the controller using the vibrations, the adaptive triggers, touchpad, the motion controls, the microphone, the built-in speaker, just everything possible. I mean, as I said, the whole point is to showcase the new controller. That led the gameplay to be more immersive and interesting because of the new ways of play. You are climbing on rocks with the motion controls and the triggers, blowing into the mic to make a platform move, sliding on the touchpad to launch yourself in the air or zip up a new suit, controlling a rocket suit again with the motion controls and the triggers, and so on and so forth. And you feel everything thanks to the haptic feedback and the built-in speaker. But now I know what you're thinking. Why do you show me some PlayStation 5 games? I can't make games for such platforms. Well, the same goes for every possible platform there. If you make a mobile game as an example, you still have the haptic feedback through vibrations, you still have touch capabilities, you have the motion controls, and you even have the microphone, which would be kinda odd to use much for games. I mean, don't force your players to blow into their phones and look stupid while playing on the bus. So make sure to use as much of the available interface as possible and try to find new ways of using the technology, like creating new mechanics for your game that completely changes the feel and usage of the interface. Every successful indie game follows this recipe. So let's recap. When making your next game, think of ways to make it innovative and fresh by adding, removing, or combining different elements. Make it intuitive so the target audience can easily understand it. Make it inviting so they would want to spend some time in it, and of course use as much of the technology available to you as possible and challenge yourself to find new ways of play. If you want to learn how to make your games more interesting by adding some weirdness to it, you can consider watching this video next, where I'm exploring the weirdness in games. Also, you can subscribe to the channel if you want to learn game design and create better games. This was Game Designer's Notebook, and I will see you in the next video.